Okay, can everybody see my screen? It says AHIP Study Hall, Class 5, and we have been doing Atari games for those who have not been with us all week. Um, we have had different themes every day, and today it's Pitfall, if you remember back that far to the Atari days. And this is what it looked like. Oh, it's animated. I'm sorry. Wasn't it just going? I don't know. Okay. Enrollment period. So today is the last module. It's module 5. I hope everybody takes their AHIP. Remember, you can always reach out to me if you get stuck. I will give you the answer, but I will help you work through it. So enrollment periods. The ICEP is the MA initial coverage election period. IEP is the Part D enrollment period. We all know AEP because we love it. SEP is MA and Part D special enrollment period. That's when special circumstances arise, such as moving, all different things. OEPI is open enrollment period for institutionalized individuals. It's a continuous open enrollment, so it's always open for them. MAOEP is, I always call it MA, or I always call it OEP. I've never really, outside of AHIP, heard it called MAOEP, but here we go. Medicare Advantage open enrollment period from January 1st to March 31st. New beneficiaries who enroll in Medicare Advantage also have an OEP that starts the month of entitlement to Part A and B. MA initial coverage election period is when a beneficiary is first eligible for MA. The initial enrollment period for Part B is a 7-month period. It begins the 3 months before, the month of, and 3 months after their eligibility. During this time, the individual can make one enrollment choice under the ICEP. The ICEP for MA enrollment election relates to their individual's 65th birthday or 25th month of disability, but it must always relate to the individual's entitlement to both Part A and B. During their ICEP, MAOEP, following their election through the last day of the 3rd month of entitlement, during which they can disenroll and move back to original Medicare or select a new plan. Any questions about that? Okay. Part D initial enrollment period, beneficiaries may take one Part D enrollment choice, including enrollment into MAPD if they're eligible for MA. The reason it says that is because if you remember, for those who are new, in Part D for standalone PDP, you must be, it's Part A and or Part B. So if, but with Medicare Advantage, you must have Part A and B. If an individual delays enrollment into Part B, the ICEP and the IEP occur separately, with the ICEP occurring during the 3 months immediately preceding the month of both entitlement to A and enrolled into Part B, and 2 months following that month. And there aren't a lot of questions on this one, just FYI. AEP, October 15th through December 7th each year, and is available to all MA and Part D beneficiaries. During the annual enrollment period, beneficiaries may add or drop drug coverage, enroll in an MA plan, MAPD, or PDP, change their MA plan, MAPD plan, or PDP, and return to original Medicare. No action is needed if the beneficiary keeps their current health or drug plan. With that said, it's very important that you start connecting the beginning of October. Retention is huge, especially I would focus, I said this yesterday, and it's just a sense that we're hearing. Definitely if they are on a Medicare Advantage PPO plan, you probably want to research their plan benefits with them and compare them. Beneficiaries may make more than one enrollment choice during the annual enrollment period. The last one made before the end of AEP, determined by the date the plan or marketing representative receives the completed enrollment form, will be the election that takes effect. I always love to say last app in is the one who gets it. During AEP, marketing representatives may not solicit or accept paper enrollment forms or telephone or online enrollment requests before October 15th. If a beneficiary sends an unsolicited AEP paper enrollment request to the plan on or after October 1st, but before AEP begins, the plan will process the application on the first day of AEP. A beneficiary will receive acknowledgement letter when the plan sponsor receives an early enrollment form to enroll during the AEP. Paper AEP enrollment requests received before the AEP with indication of sales agent or broker involvement in the submission of the request, the name or contact information of a sales agent or broker must be investigated by the plan sponsor. Make sure you remember that, take a picture. That you will see that multiple times this year on the testing because they're really looking at compliance. OEP. Beneficiaries may only change plans once during the OEP. MSA cost plans and PACE enrollees may not use the MA OEP to make changes or disenroll. That's important to know as well. MSA, cost plan, and PACE enrollees may not use the OEP to make plan changes or disenroll. Eligibility to use OEP is available only for MA enrollees, and I have this question all the time. Please take note. The ability to make changes to Part D coverage is limited to any individual who is enrolled in MA or MAPD. So what they're saying is you cannot change standalone PDPs during OEP. Reminder, you may not do targeted marketing related to OEP. For example, marketing that mentions the OEP or that targets individuals known to be MA enrollees, suggesting that they can make a change. They have to come to you. I'm so sorry. I just got a hiccup. 1 second.
Can we ask
so
questions?
Sorry. Any time that you want, please do interrupt me. I love it.
Oh, okay, I have a question on the first bullet point. It says on the PACE enrollees. Now, the PACE enrollees are Medicaid, state Medicaid, correct?
That is for the elderly. They don't necessarily have Medicaid, at least not in Oklahoma. So I have to say that's true as far as the national coverage. That it's unclear to me if it is Medicaid, but PACE is designed for elderly people who can live within a community but needs nursing home care. So,
right. So I misspoke. In Washington, they're not Medicaid either. But my question is that a Medicare program? And
it's through
agents
DHS.
What?
It's PACE is through Department of Human Services.
Okay, so what if you had a person that's on a PACE and they want to get off of it? How do you get them off of it?
I just had that. That actually just happened to me. So what's going to happen in that situation is they're going to have to contact PACE and they are going to have to say, I do not want to be a part of this anymore. And at that point, they will release them from the PACE. They do have that option. And then you can put them on a plan that works best for them. In my case, I wrote a chronic special needs plan whenever they wanted out of PACE.
So if we call them and say we want out as of August 1, I have a SEP to put them in a regular MAPD plan. Yes. Effective 8/1.
Yes, ma'am, you do.
Okay. Yeah, my lady has requested out of PACE many times, but they just ignored her.
I ended up having to get on a 3-way conversation where I had the beneficiary, myself, and we called the Oklahoma Department of Human Services, and they talked to her with me. She wanted me on there just to help answer questions, And we had to talk to 3 different departments because PACE was not helping her either. And she was like, I want rid of this stuff. I want out of this PACE program. And
Mhm.
so we went directly to the Department of Human Services, and we were able to get it to where she didn't qualify for Medicaid, but she did qualify, for her Part B premium to be paid for. Um, and we got we got the LIS, everything up and running, and then we had a SCP to enroll her into a Medicare Advantage plan.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I love it. I love the questions. I love it when people interact. Nobody's interacted with me this week, so thank you. I appreciate that. I really, really do. Whoops, did I finish this one? Yes, I did. Okay. SCPs. MA eligible and Part D eligible beneficiaries who experience certain qualifying events or wish to enroll in a 5-star plan are provided a special period to change their election, and that is the definition of SEP. SEP generally ends up upon the effective date of enrollment in a new plan, ends upon the effective date enrollment in a new plan, or the time expires, whichever comes first. Change in residence, the date of the change of in permanent residence, the month before the change in permanent residence for an individual who notifies the MA plan or Part D sponsor in advance of change. When the individual is being disenrolled because they have been out of the service area for over 6 months or over 12 months for Part D. So Part C is 6 months, PDPs are 12 months. The SCP lasts 2 months after the start month or month of the move, whichever is later. Beneficiaries can choose an effective date up to 3 months after their enrollment form is received, but no earlier than their permanent move date. So what they're saying is that SCP can last up to the 3 months, but the effective date of the enrollment will not be before the first or before they move into that area. Change in Medicaid or LIS status. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot of this in 2026. A change in their Medicaid or LIS status, including the gain or loss of eligibility or change in the level of assistance they receive, are eligible for an SEP. During the SEP, beneficiaries entitled to Part A and B can enroll in or disenroll from an MA or Part D plan once. Those entitled only to Part B can do so for PDPs. The SEP begins the later of the change or notification of the change and continues for 3 months. Part D SEP for dual eligibles and beneficiaries with low income subsidy, individuals who have Medicare Part A and or B and receive any assistance from Medicaid, and individuals who qualify for LIS but who do not receive Medicaid benefits have a SCP that allows them to make an election into a standalone PDP. This SCP does not permit enrollment into MAPD plans or changes between MAPD plans. The SCP, and take a picture of this because there's a lot of this. The SCP may be used once per month with an effective date of the first of the following month. An individual is not eligible for this SCP if the individual has been identified as at-risk beneficiary or potential at-risk beneficiary. An at-risk individual is a Part D eligible individual who is determined to be at risk for misuse or abuse of frequently abused drugs per the requirements for drug management programs under CMS. Once identified, the plan sponsor has to send a written notice to the individual. They cannot use the SEP to change plans while this risk designation is in place. The notice to the individual explains that this SEP is no longer available. They can change plans during the AHIP or other special enrollment periods, which is very confusing to me because if they qualify for SEP for moving, they can use that SEP. But if they're wanting to use the SEP just to get out of plans, thinking the plan is who put the restrictions on their put the restriction on them as an at-risk beneficiary, they cannot. Does that make sense to everybody? my example. Okay. Individuals may appeal their designation as at risk or potentially at risk. Other common SEPs, Medigap SEP, any Medicare beneficiary who dropped a Medigap policy when they were enrolled for the first time in an MA plan has a SEP during the first 12 months of their enrollment. In the MA plan, during which they can elect to disenroll from their first MA plan to original Medicare, they will also have a guaranteed eligibility period to rejoin a Medigap plan. Changes in employer group coverage, SEP. Any Medicare beneficiary experiencing a change in employer group coverage, such as leaving employer coverage, electing into employer sponsored MA or PDP plans, or disenrolling from MA or PDP plan to enroll in an employer sponsored coverage, has a SEP that begins when the employer union plan would otherwise allow the individual to make changes to their coverage and ends 2 months after the month the employer or union sponsored coverage ends. I know I'm just gonna leave that in my head. We'll come back to that. Severe or disabling chronic conditions, SEP, lasts as long as the individual has a qualifying condition and ends once the individual enrolls into a CSNP. Beneficiaries no longer eligible for CSNP have a SEP that begins the month of the status change and ends when they make an enrollment request, or 3 calendar months after the effective date of involuntary disenrollment. We, just to make sure everybody knows, just to remind you, CSNP is a chronic special needs plan. And the way that they would no longer be eligible for that is if they no longer had the two most common that come to mind as an example is if they no longer have a cardiac issue or or no longer diabetic. I believe that the diabetes would be the one that maybe they could turn around. The 5-star plan SEP can disenroll from an MA plan, PDP, or cost plan, or leave original Medicare to enroll in a 5-star MA plan, PDP, or cost plan. The 5-star SEP is available each year, December 8th through November 30th of the following year. PACE SEP. Beneficiaries may disenroll from MA or PDP plan at any time to enroll in PACE. Beneficiaries who disenroll from PACE have an SEP to elect an MA plan or PDP. The SEP ends 2 months after the effective date of the PACE disenrollment. Inline enrollment SEP provides a one-time per month election into a fully integrated dual eligible special needs plan, a highly integrated dual eligible special needs plan, or an applicable integrated plan for dually eligible individuals who are enrolled in or in process of enrolling in DSNP affiliated Medicaid NCO. This SEP is only available to facilitate aligned enrollment. So we've talked about the DSNPs and we'll continue to talk as these unfold, but we're going to see a lot of changes in regards to Medicaid. Beneficiaries enrolled plans by CMS or the state have an SEP to disenroll from their assigned plan and enroll into a new plan 3 months of the effective date. Involuntary loss of credible drug coverage SEP. The SEP begins with the month in which the beneficiary is advised of loss of credible coverage and ends 2 months after the loss of that credible coverage. And like Deb said, they will receive a letter if they are enrolled in a employer plan that does not have credible coverage. And just for funsies, some more pitfall pictures. MA open enrollment period for institutionalized. It's called OEPI. OEPI is available for individuals who move into, reside in, or move out of an institution For example, a skilled nursing facility, rehab hospital, intermediate care facility for individuals with intellectual disabilities, psychiatric hospital or unit, or long-term care hospital. The OEPI does not apply to individuals in assisted living facilities. The OEPI is continuous open enrollment period as long as the individual is in an institution. The OEPI ends 2 months after the month the individual moves out of the institution. So they'll have 2 months to get proper coverage. Beneficiaries eligible for the OEPI can make unlimited number of MA enrollment requests and may disenroll from their MA plan, enroll in or disenroll from a Part D plan, return to original Medicare. Individuals may not enroll in an MSA during the OEPI. Does everybody remember MSA is? Medicare Savings Account. Election periods for Medicare MSA plans. Beneficiaries may enroll in a Medicare MSA plans only during their initial ICEP or AEP. They may not enroll in Medicare MSA plans during an SEP except for the SEP for the employer group health plan, SEP. Individuals may request enrollment into an employer or union-sponsored MSA plan using the EGHP SEP. Woo, this is a mouthful, and it has been a week. Individuals may disenroll from MSA plans only during AEP or SEP. MSA enrollees may not use the OEP to disenroll from the MSA. An individual who elects an MA MSA plan during the AEP and has never before elected an MA MSA plan during plan may revoke that election no later than December 15th of the same year. Charlie, I should have had you do this one. My brain is not functioning.
It's a tongue twister.
I'm telling you what. Cost plan enrollment periods. Generally, cost plans must establish an annual open enrollment period of at least 30 days. Most cost plans allow enrollment year-round. Cost plans that offer an optional supplemental Part D benefit, beneficiaries may select this benefit only during a valid Part D enrollment period. A beneficiary who is enrolled in an MA plan must have a valid MA disenrollment period to switch into a cost plan. Electronic enrollment. All online enrollment platforms must be CMS approved. Enrollment via the internet. CMS offers an online enrollment center through Medicare.gov. CMS online enrollment is disabled for MA and Part D plans with low performing icon, which is known as LPI, which means the plan has received less than 3 stars for 3 consecutive years. They will not be displayed on Medicare.gov. I'm so sorry. Plans may accept telephonic enrollments only on incoming calls for individuals with whom the plan sponsor does not have an existing business relationship. An existing business relationship includes an individual who leaves a message wishing for a call back, fills out a BRC, or other way in which the individual might initiate the relationship with the organization. Plans may also accept enrollment requests during communications initiated by the plan when during the outreach to provide information about their Medicare plan offerings to individuals with whom they have an existing relationship. The individual expresses a desire to enroll in one of their plans. All telephonic enrollment and marketing calls must be recorded. If someone other than the beneficiary makes the enrollment request, the recording must include attestation regarding the individual's authority under state law to complete the request. Individuals must be advised that they are completing enrollment. Calls must include the individual's agreement to be recorded. So we must have that on the recording. Telephonic enrollments must also include all required elements necessary to complete an enrollment. If the criteria for using a short enrollment form are met, the shorter list of required elements would apply. beneficiary signature and or authorized representative signature element for a telephone request is satisfied with a verbal attestation of intent to enroll. I do that a lot for them, and I'm glad that it's listed out in the AHIP this year. CMS also offers telephone enrollment through 1-800-Medicare. MA opt-in enrollment request. MAO, which is a Medicare Advantage organization, may only offer simplified opt-in enrollment to individuals who are in their ICEP based on their initial enrollment to Medicare. All are enrolled in any type of non-Medicare plan under the same organization, does not have a break in coverage between the non-Medicare plan and the MA plan. MAOs may offer simplified opt-in enrollment via paper, telephone, or electronically. For telephonic or electronic requests, the plan may limit the data it collects from the applicant to only items it does not already have. So that's a lot. Like with Blue Cross Blue Shield, they may have a commercial plan and have all their information that they can transfer over to the MA plan. Beneficiary acknowledgments when enrolling. Enrollment mechanisms must require the applicant's acknowledged consent that they must keep Part A and B if enrolling into MA, must keep A and B if enrolling A or B if enrolling into a PDP, consent to the disclosure and exchange of information between the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, its designees, and the MA or Part D plan, and acknowledge the information may be used to track enrollment for other purposes as allowed under federal law. Understand that the enrollment in another MA plan or PDP or MAPD plan will automatically disenroll them from their current plan. The model PFFS and MSA enrollment mechanisms provide modified language as appropriate. We know this all from our enrollments over the telephone on the enrollment platforms. Attest that the information provided in the enrollment request is correct. Intentionally falsifying information will result in disenrollment. Acknowledge that their signature indicates an understanding of the enrollment application, and that if the authorized representative have legal authority to complete the enrollment request. Understand that the benefits and services must be attained from the plan to be covered as Medicare benefits, excluding hospice and kidney acquisition costs for transplants. Beneficiary pre-enrollment information. Agents must ask the kind of health plan in which the beneficiary wishes to enroll. Does the beneficiary require hearing, dental, and or vision coverage? Does the beneficiary have any other healthcare needs, such as needing durable medical equipment or physical therapy? And does the beneficiary have any specific healthcare needs? Take a picture of that for your test taking. Network providers and out-of-network coverage. Before enrollment, the agent must check to see if the beneficiary's PCPs and specialists are in network. If not, the agent must explain that the beneficiary will need to choose new ones or pay out of pocket. Check to see if beneficiary's preferred hospital is in network. If not, the agent must explain that the beneficiary will need to choose a new one. Check if there are other facilities the beneficiary prefers that need to be in network. Review coverage for out-of-network providers and services, except in emergency or urgent situations. The plan does not cover services out-of-network providers. Review PPO or PFS out-of-network coverage benefits with them. Take a picture of this as well. You'll see it again. Beneficiary pre-enrollment information for drugs. The agent must discuss prescription drug coverage and costs with the beneficiary before enrollment. Specifically, the agent must check that the beneficiary's prescriptions are on formulary. If not, the agent must explain that the beneficiary may have to pay the full price of the prescription. Check to see if the beneficiary pharmacy is in network. If not, the agent must explain that the beneficiary will need to choose a new pharmacy. Beneficiary pre-enrollment information, other benefit information. The agent must discuss a variety of other information about plan benefits with the enrollee before enrollment. The agent must review coverage for services furnished by providers outside the U.S. I am so sorry. My dogs are barking. Can you hear that?
Just a little, but not much. It's not distracting.
Explain the potential effect that the enrolling in the plan will have on other current coverage, which may mean the beneficiary will be disenrolled from their current health coverage. Explain that the plan is not a hearing, dental, vision rider, but a full health benefit covering all Medicare benefits. Explain that the plan operates on a calendar year basis. Benefits may change on January 1st of the following year. Explain that the evidence of coverage provides all cost benefits and rules of the plan. Agents must also discuss costs with beneficiaries or their authorized representatives. Before enrollment, the agent must go over plan premiums and the Part B premium, review the current plan's premium versus another plan's premium, go over cost sharing such as deductibles, copayment, and coinsurance, including PCP, specialists, copays, inpatient hospitalization, and other copays for services items the beneficiary needs. Discuss the cost and limitations of dental, vision, and hearing benefit. Complaints, cancellation, and items applicable to only certain types of plans. Before enrollments, agents must review with beneficiaries how they can file a complaint. They must explain the right to cancel the enrollment and provide the date through which the cancellation can occur. If a beneficiary is interested in or eligible for enrollment in an MSA, the agent must review with beneficiary the need to maintain a custodial account to remain enrolled in the MSA. If a beneficiary is interested in or eligible for enrollment in a special needs plan, an agent must discuss the following with the beneficiary: the need to qualify for chronic condition requirements for CSNPs, which is that there will be a qualifying condition sent to their physician. The need to have Medicaid to qualify for DSNP, and the need to require for institutional level of care for an I-SNP. Do y'all sell very many I-SNPs? Because I have, in my whole career of almost 20 years, I have never done that.
Me neither.
Okay.
I have never sold one.
Okay. I was wondering if I was like one of the outliers or if that is, the case for most people. Discrimination prohibitions. Marketing representatives may not deny or discourage a beneficiary enrollment based on anticipation need for healthcare services. And of course, the race, ethnicity, origin, religion, geographic location within a service area. Marketing representatives must comply with their obligations under the federal anti-discrimination rules and requirements. Marketing representatives may not engage in any discriminatory activity, such as attempting to recruit Medicare beneficiaries from higher income areas without making comparable efforts to enroll Medicare beneficiaries from lower income areas. What that is stating is that you cannot deny helping somebody just because they are duals. There's been a lot of that in previous years where people steer away from DSNPs and dual eligible beneficiaries, and they're saying, quit doing that. Marketing representatives may not ask health screening questions during a completion of enrollment request unless it is necessary to determine eligibility to enroll in a special needs plan. MA organizations are only permitted to send health assessment forms after an enrollment. Post-enrollment activities and rules. After the plan receives the request for enrollment and before the effective date of coverage, all plans must provide the enrollee with notice acknowledging receipt of the completed enrollment form request and showing the effective date of coverage. Must be provided no later than 10 calendar days after receipt of the completed enrollment request. A copy of completed paper enrollment form if requested. Evidence that the enrollment request was received, which is a confirmation number for enrollment requests submitted via the internet or telephone. Proof of health insurance coverage, so they may begin using plan services as when it becomes effective. Must include data necessary to access benefits. Railroad Retirement Board and SSA withholdings. If an individual's enrollment request includes a request that the premium be withheld from Social Security or Railroad Retirement Board, you must inform the individual that if approved, the request for premium withholding will begin in 1 to 2 months. The effective date for the premium withholding will not be retroactive. They will be responsible for paying the organization directly for all premiums due from the enrollment effective date until the month in which the premium withholding will begin. Failure to pay premiums for months in which the premium withholding is not yet in effect can result in disenrollment into the plan. Once the plan sponsor receives a reply from CMS indicating whether the individual's enrollment has been accepted or rejected, the plan must notify the individual in writing of CMS's acceptance or rejection of the enrollment within 10 calendar days. Regardless of how an enrollment request is made, the plan sponsor must provide information about being an enrollee of the plan rules, and the member's rights and responsibilities generally before the effective date. Of course, if we enrolled them the day before, we know that they're not going to get it before the enrollment date, if it's 30th or 31st. During this period, plan sponsors must also explain charges for which the prospective member will be liable, including premiums, late enrollment penalty, co-insurance, deductible, and any other amounts, including information about LIS. Explain the prospective member's authorization for the disclosure and exchange of necessary information between the MA organization and CMS. Explain the potential for financial liability if it is found that the individual is not entitled to Medicare Part A and B at the time of coverage begins, and they have used the MA plan services after the effective date. I, in my mind, when I was preparing that, cannot think of one scenario that somebody would be approved for an MA plan and then later not. Because if it's a C-SNP, you have a grace period of not being approved to get into the what we call core plan. So if anybody has any insight into that for me, because this has been lingering in my mind, the question for this statement for a week.
It's kind of strange because you can't even enroll them without a Medicare number.
Or a Part A and B effective date. The only thing I can think of is when it comes into the 3 months before, the month of, and 3 months after, that they have said, oh, I have Medicare, and gave us the Medicare number, the Part A effective date, the Part B effective date, and then it goes into effect and they decide, oh, I don't want Part B anymore. That's the only scenario I can conclude. Deb, do you have any insight?
Well, like you said, it doesn't happen often, but I do remember one time that it happened to me, and I think that's what happened was they had a claim and then they turned back their Part B coverage. So, yeah.
The only scenario that I can comprehend is that they cancel their Part B.
Right.
Okay.
That's the only thing that I know of.
Thank you. Okay, I'm not losing my mind. All right. Provide the effective date of coverage and explain how to obtain services before the receipt of an ID card. MAOs obtain an acknowledgement by the individual if they understand that care will be received through designated providers, except for emergency services, urgently needed care, out of area dialysis, and cases in which the plan authorizes use of out of network providers. In some instances, the plan sponsor will be unable to provide materials and require notifications to the new enrollee before the effective date. Materials must be provided within 10 days of enrollment. Disenrollment from MA, Part D, or cost plans. There are two types of disenrollments. There's voluntary disenrollment. An enrollee chooses to disenroll from a plan because they no longer want to be enrolled. Involuntary disenrollment is, and you do need to know this, guys, involuntary disenrollment is the plan may be required or may have the option to end an enrollee's membership. The disenrollment is not the enrollee's choice. And we'll go into some examples. A tickle in my throat. Plans or agents may not either orally or in writing or by any action or inaction request or encourage any enrollee to disenroll from the plan except in specific situations authorized by CMS. Plans may contact enrollees to determine the reasons for a voluntary disenrollment, but must not discourage an enrollee from disenrolling after they indicate a desire to do so, and may not market to the disenrolled individual during the call. During a valid election period, an enrollee may request disenrollment from an MA or prescription drug plan by enrolling in another plan, sending or faxing a signed written notice to the plan sponsor or employer union group if applicable, submitting requests via the internet to the plan sponsor if the plan offers this option, or calling 1-800-MEDICARE. Enrollees making verbal requests must be instructed to request one of the above methods. Exceptions. Employer or union sponsored plans may have other disenrollment mechanisms. To disenroll from an MSA plan, enrollees must write the plan and the enrollee cannot disenroll via 1-800-MEDICARE. To ensure disenrollment from a PDP, enrollees should submit a written request or call Medicare in the following situations: joining a MA PFFS plan without drug coverage, joining an MSA plan when not joining any other health or prescription drug plan. Voluntary disenrollment from cost plans. Medicare cost plan enrollees may end their membership at any time during the year and enroll into original Medicare. The enrollee must submit a written request and cannot disenroll by calling Medicare. A beneficiary who disenrolls from a cost plan may join an MA plan or a PDP during the annual election period or other MA or Part D election periods. Involuntary disenrollment from MA or Part D plan. Plan sponsors must disenroll an enrollee from the plan in the following situations: a permanent change in residence, including incarceration, makes the enrollee ineligible to remain enrolled into the plan. The enrollee does not stay enrolled in Part A and B for MA and MAPD plans, or does not stay enrolled in either Part A or B for PDP plans. A special needs plan enrollee loses special needs status and does not reestablish special needs plan eligibility before the expiration of the period of eligibility. An MSA enrollee no longer meets the criteria to enroll in an MSA. The enrollee dies. The plan sponsor contract is terminated, withdrawn, or the service area is reduced and excludes the enrollee. The member fails to pay their Part D IRMA to the government, and CMS notifies the plan to execute the disenrollment. Note that CMS has established a 3-month initial grace period before individuals in an MAPD or PDP will be disenrolled for failure to pay their Part D IRMA. The member is not lawfully present in the United States, A PDP must also involuntarily disenroll an individual who materially misrepresents information the PDP sponsor regarding reimbursement for third-party coverage. Involuntary disenrollment: when an enrollee moves from a service area, you'll want to know this information. MA organizations must disenroll enrollees who have been out of the service area for more than 6 months. PFFS plans can allow continued enrollment for up to 12 months. If an individual is not in a continuation area offered by the MAO, or the MAO does not offer an extended visitor traveler VT benefit, may offer an extended VT benefit up to 12 months. Under this benefit, enrollees may remain temporarily out of the service area for up to 12 months without being disenrolled. Part D plan sponsors must disenroll an enrollee 12 months after identifying that the individual has moved outside of the service area if the plan has been unable to confirm the move with the enrollee. Exceptions may apply to enrollees who have low income subsidy. Involuntary disenrollment from cost and MSA plans. MSA plans must additionally disenroll an enrollee who no longer meets MSA eligibility requirements. The exception is the MSA plan may not disenroll beneficiaries who elect the Medicare hospice benefit while enrolled in the MSA plan. Because remember, if you're on hospice, you cannot be in the MSA. Medicare cost plans must disenroll an enrollee who does not stay continuously enrolled in Part B, who has a permanent change of residence out of the plan's geographic service area, who has a temporary absence from the service area for more than 90 consecutive days up to 12 months with plans with extended absence option. People who are deceased. When the cost contract is terminated or non-renewed. When the member is not lawfully present in the U.S. Cost plans that offer optional Part D, supplemental Part D benefit must disenroll individuals who failed to pay for the Part D IRMA from that optional benefit only. The 3-month initial grace period still applies, even in cost. Plan sponsors may involuntarily disenroll an enrollee from the plan, but are not required to do so if the enrollee does not pay premiums on a timely basis, engages in disruptive behavior. CMS must approve the disenrollment after reviewing the evidence presented by the plan for the disruptive behavior, provides fraudulent information on an enrollment request, and allows another individual to use their enrollment card. Plan sponsors must take action consistently among all enrollees of each plan. Failure to pay premium. If a member fails to pay plan premium, a plan sponsor may choose to do nothing, disenroll the member after a grace period and notice. In addition, if an MA member fails to pay premium for optional supplemental benefits but pays the premium for basic and mandatory supplemental benefits, the MAO may downgrade the coverage. Plan sponsors must apply the policy they choose uniformly for all plan members. However, MAPD plans have the option to retain dual eligible members and individuals who qualify for LIS who fail to pay premiums, even if the MA organization has a policy to disenroll members for non-payment of premiums. MA-only plans may retain individuals who are dually eligible for both Medicare and Medicaid and receive any type of assistance from Title XIX Medicaid program. PDPs have the option to retain individuals who qualify for LIS who failed to pay for the premiums. Enrollees' rights when it comes to failure to pay. Failure to pay plan premiums, the plan sponsor must notify the enrollee in writing, provide enrollees with a grace period of not less than 2 months. Under certain circumstances, individuals may be reinstated for good cause if the beneficiary pays the overdue premiums within 3 calendar months of disenrollment and enrollees have the right to make a complaint if the plan ends their membership. Woo, guys. Thank goodness it's Friday. Again, I am Taryn. I am the Director of Provider Referral Operations and Agent Training, and Charlie Howard, who is the Manager of Referral Operations and Agent Training. We're always here to help, and we do love to talk. We do like to talk to y'all. We do. We love it.
I have a question.
Okay.
So if a person is continuing with their group health plan and they're eligible for Medicare, and their prescription plan that they have with their group plan doesn't cover as much as a Part D would, can you enroll them?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it creditable? I think that's the main question that's stuck in my head right now. Even though it's not the best, is it considered creditable?
Yes. Yes, it's their company's group health plan.
That doesn't always mean it's creditable, though. Just because it's an employee group health plan does not mean that it is credible insurance for Medicare. Deb, she's the genius on here. What would you suggest?
The client should get a letter or the spouse who's ever working for the group insurance that has the group insurance should get a letter every year saying whether their plan is credible or not. But as far as this person's question is, they can always enroll in a Part standalone D plan, whether it's credible or not.
That's what I was thinking too.
Because they're just becoming eligible. The Medicare costs are quite high with the plan that they have. So that's a good option. And that was all three of the people that showed up last night. They were all, okay, we're eligible, going to do A, maybe A and B, not looking for an insurance plan because they're going to stay with their group health plans.
If they're going to stay with their group health, did you suggest that they put their Part B on hold so that they save that monthly premium?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And some of these people are pretty savvy, and that Medicare on demand. I've had like one last night and the night before. They did some homework. So that's good.
I have a question that has escaped me, Taryn, and that's if they are aging in and say they join a Medicare Advantage plan effective August 1, I've had the question, is it from August to August that their maximum out of pocket works, or is it only in the plan year, and is it prorated?
It's only in the plan year. No, it's not prorated.
Oh, and that reminds me of another question. So we had two that are January birthdays, but so when do you enroll them? Because they're eligible 3 months before.
Yeah, but it wouldn't take effect till the first day of the month that they become eligible.
Yeah, but
what I normally do on a January birthday is present the plans in October so that I can see the January plans.
Benefits. Yeah.
But you can actually enroll them. Their enrollment period begins October 1st. So you can enroll them in the first half of October, where you can't enroll AEP members at that point. So you don't have to wait until the 15th to enroll them because of their SEP, only if they're looking at plans for AEP. So you can present those plans in early October and show them what their plan is going to look like in January. But if you present a plan before then, you're showing them a 2025 plan. So it's best to wait until October to show them plans because they'll get to see what their plan is actually going to look like in 26.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and we do expect a ton of changes this year again, so just beware on some of the plans.
As I was listening to the pre-enrollment requirements, are those new? Did they add some, or did I just miss that last year and the year before? The pre-enrollment requirements before asking about all the health questions, on that one slide. Is that new?
Welcome, John. Charlie, I'm going to let you take over that for just a second and answer some questions.
I don't recall exactly. I'm sorry. I wish I knew the answer. I think the pre-enrollment was still there. They're all questions that we should be asking. So I think that they were probably there, maybe a little heavier emphasis this time, but I haven't actually taken my AHIP this year, so I'm not sure how prevalent they are. I was going through this class too before I took it. So
Okay, thanks. It's just I didn't recognize them as a requirement. I know that we do that, but this time it just stated that this is a requirement.
they're
Pre-enrollment.
standard practices for sure. And I'm not sure if they've been outlined before, but I would assume they were. They all seem very, very familiar to me. So I believe they've been there before.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else have any questions? All right. Well, we thank you guys for coming. And if there's anything that we can do to help you out, please let us know. If once we close this out, you should get an email with the recording in it, or it should be available in the chat later on. But if you need a copy of that, just let us know. And it looks like we're going to send one email. Do you see that in the chat, Taryn? You'll have access to that email later, wanting a copy of Monday's meeting. Okay.
Absolutely. I was on mute. I apologize.
All right. Thank you guys. We appreciate it.
We sure do.
Y'all have a great weekend.
The sessions, they're very helpful.
Thank you. They're a lot of work and I love doing it every year. So thank you.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Thank
Bye.
y'all. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye.